There we go. First of all, let me welcome everyone to the Learning, Teaching, and Innovative Technology Center. I see a couple of new faces, so I'm so glad that you're here. This is part one of a three-part series for this semester on mobile learning, mobile devices in teaching and learning. It is certainly a big topic nowadays. We've got so many more people that are starting to use mobile devices, and there's so many opportunities that we have as educators to be able to see how they can really be used to enhance not only the work that we do, but the work that our students do, and then the teaching and learning aspects. So that's what we're going to be working on this three-part series. This first one is just the getting started, because we've got some people that have devices and are experts at using them. Other ones may be fiddling with them a little bit. Some of you might not even have started with it yet. So we wanted to start at the beginning with this and then move on from there. My name is Barbara Dowd. I am the Assistant Vice President for Academic and Instructional Technologies in IT and the co-director of the center over here. And I've got three folks that will be helping with this session today. Rhonda Henderson. Rhonda is in the Business Communication and Entrepreneurship Department in the College of Business. Robin Blackman is in the Department of Elementary and Special Education in the College of Education. And then Paula Callahan is our instructional design specialist that works here out of the center. So we are really excited that you're here. As we go through here, if you've got questions, don't hesitate to ask. If you've got questions about a specific application, we may say kind of hold on to that one until we move down and get some of the basics out, and then we'll be sure that we come back to it. So we'll try and make sure that we get all our questions answered, and we'll go there. We also like this to be very informal, so we'll kind of bounce off of each other, and we want you to do that as well. The one thing that we do ask is that at the end today, if you'll fill out the evaluation form and drop it in that pretty box back there on the counter, especially that bottom part, that suggestions, especially that you can help us, our part 2 and part 3, and we'll tell you about those when we get through today, but we can always change and adapt them as we get more information from what people need. So give us as much feedback as you can to be able to make these as valuable as possible. I'm going to turn it over to Rhonda to do the first part, and then we'll just sort of tag team from there.
All right, welcome again. I am so delighted to see all the interest in mobile devices and mobile learning. Some of my preliminary research that I've done on M-learning, I've kind of noticed, or it's become evident, that a lot of professors, faculty, feel that mobile devices in the classroom is more of a disruptive technology, more so than anything. And so hopefully today, I don't know if that, if that is your opinion, but hopefully today we'll kind of shed some light as to how mobile devices can be used to help and assist in the teaching and learning process. So I'm very happy to see you guys here today. Today, I want to start off just kind of giving you a definition according to the EDUCAL's Learning Initiative, what mobile learning is. So you can take a look at the definition there. But what I kind of like to call it is anytime, anywhere learning and or teaching. So being able to use these mobile devices to assist in the teaching and learning process so that it helps us to extend beyond the traditional classroom environment. And so that's the definition. Now, what qualifies as a mobile device? We have a list here, and what we try to do is to bring our little toys with us so that you can kind of see, and I don't know what you guys have, but we have the laptop or the PC or Mac. It's considered to be a mobile device. I think everybody's familiar with the laptop. And then we also have the tablet, and I have the iPad 2. Some of you might have one.
Okay. This is a Motorola Zoom. Again, the difference between an Android device, which is what this one is, and an iPad or an Apple device. It's important to think that through when you're deciding what you want yourself in terms of what you're going to use the device for. They have some similarities, but they also have some differences. So you need to think about what applications you're going to use. and are they available on the Android device, are they available on the iPad device, or vice versa. You're going to see that this is probably one of the biggest growing markets right now are all the different kinds of devices. So it doesn't really matter which one you choose. It just goes back to deciding how you want to use it.
Right. And I kind of think about it as the iPad being similar to a Mac computer, Android being similar to a PC, except one is, the tablet is more mobile and smaller. And you're able to download apps on those individual tablets. And then we also have the smartphone. Got a couple here. iPhone is mine, and
the Android is mine.
Exactly.
Again, it doesn't really matter which one. It's kind of a personal preference. It's also personal preference in terms of does it do what you wanted it to do. I bought the Android one because I had an iPad, so I thought I can do iPad apps on one and Android apps on another and cover both bases. But again, it's a personal preference as to what you want to accomplish with whatever device that you're using.
And also notice that if you hear the term smartphone, that means the phone has internet capabilities, wireless or Wi-Fi access, versus a typical cellular phone that may not have that capability, aka the little flip phones that some people may still have. The iTouch that's actually my son that I purchased for him for Christmas, and it's very similar to the iPhone. The major difference is you cannot make phone calls on the iTouch, but everything else that you do with an iPhone, you can do with the iTouch. And then the e-reader is what Barbara's holding up next, and that is the Kindle and the Nook.
Got a Nook. This is version 1 of the Nook. This is an older one. The new version 2, it looks a little bit more like this. It's about that same size, but I've had this one a little bit longer. The Nook is from Barnes & Noble, so you're connected to the Barnes & Noble store to buy your books. Kindle is connected to Amazon, so you're buying your books through Amazon. And it doesn't really matter. It's a matter of which one you want to use in terms of what you're trying to accomplish. Now, the Kindle will also come in what's called a Kindle Fire, which is kind of halfway between this and an iPad. Virginia's got one back there. Okay? So again, whatever you're trying to accomplish. I bought my Nook because I had a gift certificate from Barnes & Noble. So that's why I ended up buying that one. I bought my niece a Kindle for Christmas because that's what she wanted. So, you know, it's really easy. Somebody can buy me a Barnes & Noble gift card, and I can buy books, and I can buy her an Amazon gift card, and she can buy books. So again, it doesn't really matter. You can also put the reader software on the other devices.
Yes.
So on my iPad, I've got the Nook reader and the Kindle reader, so I could do both. So it's really, again, a matter of personal preference. I like reading in bed with this one because it's much easier to hold and to do that. But when I'm sitting on a chair, I like using my iPad better. So it goes back and forth. The other thing that's really neat is when you read on here and then you open it up on there, it jumps to the spot where you were and vice versa.
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
I was just going to add about getting different kinds of things, at least in regards to the Mac, iPad, iPhone system. They have iCloud, so they sync your various devices. So
Definitely.
it doesn't, again, it doesn't really make your laptop. So I have a laptop, a desktop, an iPad, and I have an iPhone, and all of those can be synced to calendar, notes, contacts.
And there are ways to do that same thing on the other devices as well.
Right.
But it is one thing that is kind of nice. If you go with one brand and sort of stay in that same family, it's a little bit easier sometimes to be able to sync all those things up. So yes, that's really a nice thing.
So I'm just curious, is there anyone here that has a device that is not listed here as a mobile device? Or do we pretty much have the same?
What's yours? Mine's a Samsung. Tablet.
Is there anyone looking to buy a mobile device and just trying to figure out which one to purchase? Anybody? Thinking about it? Okay. All right, so now let's move on and talk about why mobile learning. And from the research, I found some themes, and they're listed here. And I want to kind of get your feedback as to how you feel about these topics, as to whether you believe that using mobile devices in the teaching and learning process may help or foster these particular activities. Accessibility and pervasiveness of the devices, we know that they're everywhere. We have mobile devices. Students have them. They're using them. They may not be using them for educational purposes, but hopefully we as educators will help in that regard and come up with ways to use them in an educational aspect or environment. Also, it fosters active learning. It allows students to be engaged in the learning process. It gives them the opportunity to do activities on their personal devices. Promotes individualized learning. We can customize in the same manner as we do with the online environment. We'll be able to customize with our mobile devices as well. Immediacy of communication. There's so much information out there. There's a wealth of information that we almost get information overload. And so the communication is there. We have text messages, we have speech, recognition, email, of course, which I read an article a couple of years ago that said that the email will be obsolete within the next 20 years. So that was pretty mind-blowing. Also, it encourages collaboration. With all the social devices and social networks that are out there, we're able to collaborate a lot more. The whole concept of working in the cloud, being able to share our devices within the cloud and being able to transfer and exchange information is a lot more readily available with our mobile devices. The whole concept of ubiquitous learning. Because everyone has a cell phone, everyone has some type of mobile device. I don't know about you, if I leave my cell phone at home, I kind of feel like I'm missing a limb or something. I just feel like I'm missing something that I have to have. So it's becoming so ingrained in our culture to have those devices that ubiquitous learning is a possibility. And then also the flexibility aspect. Your schedule can be a lot more convenient if you're actually using the devices in an online environment. It may be possible for you to improve your flexibility in your schedule. And so what I want to do is to kind of look at a video clip that is of Abilene Christian University. They are the forerunners in mobile learning. And there was a summit in 2011, and I want to kind of show you what their thoughts are on the mobile process or the mobile learning process.
Harder for me to see how to get there. So for example, like,
okay, it's not streaming.
I can see where we're headed. It's harder for me to see how to get there. So for example, I can see increasing kind of anywhere, anytime, any place learning, but how we get there in a meaningful way is fuzzy to me.
We're in the beginnings of a digital revolution. What I mean by that is that technology is coming into every classroom. I've seen iPods in physical education classes where students are listening to podcasts. And what I see, what I predict is that it's going to become so commonplace that it becomes the invisible tool. It's just there.
I really think that the most important part from my perspective is that the students are coming to these digital environments with expectations for interactivity. And when they get there and they buy e-textbook that's just a PDF, that's why there's this problem. That's why e-textbooks haven't been adopted thus far.
We are in Mexico. We are a multi-campus university specialized in using technology in the process of learning and investigation. Especially, we have to be open to change, because if not, the next generations are going to go ahead without us.
The days of a single teacher in front of the class with the book is something that's past, and we have the opportunity to greatly broaden the horizons of what our kids have that are up to date.
At Abilene Christian, what we've seen with the faculty who are experimenting with devices is that they're becoming co-learners in the classroom with their students. And students of this generation coming into college right now, that appeals to them. They want to be in a learning environment where they're not just learning with other students, but they're learning with their teachers as well.
I do finding that more and more faculty seem to be interested in trying to bring active learning into the classroom, looking at materials that they can use to prepare students outside of class that will let the students really get deeply prepared to come into class, discuss the materials, work in groups, and really engage with the materials more than we have before.
I've been working with mobile devices in middle year settings since 1988. It's my very firm belief that in terms of mobility, that every child needs to have their own personal device so that they can learn how to use them properly, educationally, and have that as an augmented learning tool for themselves and learn how to use that within their adult life and encourage lifelong learning.
We've been in laptops since there were laptops, and we're kind of getting out of the device business. I think we have to respond to what the students are deciding they want to do and react to that.
I don't think it's settled. There's a lot of different options for how this could ultimately end up. But I think that we're at the beginning of a transition of sort of ubiquity of access that's going to enable whole new modes of learning, and I'm really excited by it.
Certainly, I think we are heading towards more of a mobile environment where we should be utilizing devices that are already in the pockets of students. More and more, the applications that are out there are conforming to mobile devices, so that anytime, anywhere, then actually becomes a reality.
The digital world is changing so rapidly. The kids are significantly ahead of us. And so we try to stay flexible, and I think that opportunity to allow them to grow in their manner with the new technologies they roll out are going to be, that's going to be the best approach that we can take.
We all are carrying around these mobile devices, whether they're smartphones, iPads, iPod, Androids, name it. But if you walk up to a student across the nation and say, share with me the apps or the content you have on your mobile device. They have games, entertainment, how to get to the movies, GPS, but nothing about math or English. We need dynamic content where they can manipulate and become engaged.
What we've done here is that we try to say yes first and then figure out the details afterwards, rather than say no first and then have people force it through. Times have moved on, and it's essential that the IT department doesn't need to be seen as a source of conservatism rather than a forward-looking department, because there was a time when IT were the people who were pushing the organisation forward, and that time has always changed to the point where IT are holding back some of the things that they want to do.
What is it we want our students to learn? And let's think about what we're trying to accomplish in terms of getting them to think and be creative and collaborative. And so my advice is, let's change, instead of taking technology and having it change the classroom, let's think about what we want our classrooms to look like, and let's get the technology that fits that and supports that.
If we're spending so much money on putting devices and hardware into schools, and even software, if there isn't solid research on whether or not this is actually working for the students, then it's kind of a waste.
The advice really is, you have to, number one, keep the outcomes in mind. It's all really about how teachers teach, how learners learn. Basically, be sure you know what the endpoints are. Keep technology as a supportive thing, not as a focal point, basically, necessarily what you're really going to do. If you do that, then the sort of other things that become influences that are dynamic can be accommodated, can be adjusted to.
The funding is an issue, and that's why we're a little bit nervous about how we're going to move forward. But really, I think the future points to a bring your own type platform.
I think that there's a lot of balls in the air. I don't think that anybody really knows what the correct answer is going to be. But I think the appropriate approach is to put the technology into the hands of the students and to let them run with it and see what they do with it. Because it's students who are going to innovate and find creative ways to put the technology to good use.
How do we benchmark when maybe we dance around the edges of that now to say, oh, sure, students are learning, but how do we really know that they're learning? And so by infusing something that's so different, then we really have to embed the assessment from the beginning, and that's a real opportunity to do that.
I'm optimistic because of the power of individuals, and I think what mobile technology does is it puts power in the hands of individual people.
In real terms, it's the learners that are going to inherit the world. So if we continue to learn and we continue to adopt and we continue to change, then surely we'll be able to adapt to a future that doesn't exist at this point.
All right, so your thoughts on the future of mobile learning, any ideas that you may have spawned and taken a look at the thoughts of fellow educators? Hopefully you saw that Tennessee Connection, Robbie Nelson, TBR.
Yes, well, one comment that they made that, I don't know, I think some of us could get, kind of into a scare tactics where there was a comment that said, the kids are already ahead of us. I don't think that's necessarily true. But I do think that we're on the edge. And so now is the time to jump on board before they are ahead of us. Yes.
How do you get all of them to buy into having these devices? I thought today, the PowerPoint presentation, told everyone, please bring a laptop because it was text heavy talking about Supreme Court case law. And some of them were, I don't want a laptop, I've got to write it down on paper. It's the only way I can learn. How do you get them to jump into technology with you?
Well, I'm the same kind of learner. I learned through the use of the hand and seeing it being written. I even talk to my students about this stuff. I would tell them that is their homework, is to rewrite it. If you want them to do something in class, I guess strongly encourage you to pursue what you want to do in class. And anything that they need as far as learning material, then they would need to do that.
But were your activities using the laptops, or were the laptops there for note-taking and things like that?
Efficiency.
Again, to me, at that point, then, do we need to have every student doing that? I think, if that is the use of it, that you were using that for the technology in the classroom, if that one student's personal preference was to write it down, were they still accomplishing the same thing? So if the accomplishment at the end was that they got notes that are effective for them, then we've met the objective of what we were doing. What I think that we need to think about is that's one use of technology in the classroom. But maybe another activity is, again, maybe you put a group together and using the laptop, or they go find something. They research something and then bring it back to share with the class. So I think there's a difference in terms of how you are using the technology in the classroom to decide if it is something that everybody has to have, or do you work around it? If you're doing an activity, well, then maybe groups of 2 or 3, not everyone has to have one. But what I think you'll find out is the more you build those kind of activities in the classroom activities, more students are going to want to. Because, we're doing this activity where we have to go out and find this court case that supports this particular objective or whatever. Well, then most students aren't going to say, I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to look like I'm not pulling my part. They're the ones that the next time when you have that activity, they probably will bring their laptops. So that's what I'm kind of thinking.
And that works because I've been doing that, and as the computer screen or whatever we're looking for is the source of the activity. And for my classes, it only took 2 or 3 class periods. Now everybody brings their laptop. And so it didn't take very long. But I do have them work in pairs.
And again, we're in a situation where, some of our students don't have the finances to be able to. So, I mean, it is a little bit sometimes that you have to really think through those activities and so forth. There are places here in the library or whatever that they could get a laptop for an assignment that they have to do. But I think, you sort of, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You've got the technology built in, using the technology for a learning process. You also have the group work, which is the engagement and things like that.
Right.
Do you have a sense of how many students have mobile devices?
We tried to do some research out of ITV as far as if you counted all mobile devices, including smartphones and so forth, we're at about 80%. Yeah, as far as laptops, I think that last study we did said like 85% of students had a computer. And whether it's a mobile computer or not, and we can't exactly tell, but I mean, the majority of our students do have a computer, and a lot of those are indeed mobile computers that they could take.
Doesn't just you make any recommendations for what you should bring if you're a new student here?
we've got a list of, what kind of activities you need to be able to do. We don't come out and say, this is the prototype of what, we would suggest that you bring, because there's so many different things out there. But we'll say, it needs to have at least this much power and that kind of stuff. And we've got a sheet that we give out at customs. Now, one of the things that I think things will be moving toward, that idea of that bring your own device, I think in the future, now I can't say how far down the line it's going to be, but I think there will come a time when we won't have computer labs and everything on campus, that everyone will have one, and we might even get to the point of having a, here is the MTSU kind of thing. I don't know if any of you had a chance to come to any of the IT open forums that we've had over the last couple of months and heard about our virtual desktop project, where eventually we'll have the ability out of ITD to push a common image out to computers. And eventually we'll be able to do that to student computers as well. So it won't make a difference what kind of hardware they have, as long as it will accept this image of what they need. So I think that's the way that things are going to go in the future.
All I was saying is that sometimes you also need to look for the fact that in conjunction with MTSU or anything else, sometimes they don't tell you what you get, but they do tell you what they support, what browsers they support, what programs they support, and so that's a different way of looking at the same issue.
Good point. Very good point. So, again, what are you trying to accomplish, and what do you need to have a machine that has the ability to do?
Yeah, I mean, as instructors, you have to look at what the institution supports, and then sometimes, to some extent, it does, like what you support. I'm not saying this real well, but basically it comes down, for example, when I'm grading, I grade Word-compatible documents. That's
Right.
So there are occasionally even some issues that might fall on you.
Or, I mean, that even more so if you've got some of the multimedia intensive programs. I mean, they will have a list of, you need to be able to support Photoshop, blah, blah, blah.
Related question, are you aware of any courses, programs, instructors who require a particular device for the class? Can we do that?
I don't know of any that require a particular device. I know a lot that require particular software. So it would have to be a device that would support that particular software.
And again, the whole concept of bring your own device, I don't think that we necessarily have to force them to buy an iPad or an iPhone for that matter, because eventually all the devices are going to be able to do, similar tasks. And so if you're using PowerPoint, if you have PowerPoint slides, you can pull that up on any smartphone if you have the correct app. So if you have an app that will allow you to pull that up, then the access is there. So I think the whole concept of bringing
I
your own
think that
device
really
is what's
supports one of the statements that they said in here, is that, you always have to keep in mind what your end result is. What objective are you trying to accomplish? What skill are you trying to build? What learning activity are you trying to support, rather than this tool, that tool, or this software? That comes secondary. Once you decide what your objective is, then you find the right tool to meet that. Don't put the cart before the horse and go with the technology first and then the objective second.
And sometimes you're dealing in collaborative learning situations that are student-centered. We're always used to being responsible for everything being just prepackaged and it's completely ready. You just open the cell thing and you eat it. But that is not what this kind of learning is like. This kind of learning requires them to bring something to the table. So you're not always finding out how to accomplish that objective.
Right.
There might be multiple ways to accomplish that objective, and they accomplish it in some creative way that you haven't thought of, but that's okay as long as they accomplish it.
Exactly. That's great.
For example, I had a student, this has been a couple of years ago, I would create quizzes in Desire to Learn, and she called me with a question, and she said, well, I just finished up my quiz on my phone. And I'm thinking, I just never would have thought 2 years ago that someone would be doing that. And so once I heard that, I said, you know what, these students are using these devices for other than just texting and making phone calls. And so,
right. If you build the activity, again, it's one of those things where if what's the first thing I did on my iPad was I played Angry Birds, because I hadn't built anything to do, any kind of learning activities. So their students are the same way. They're going to use it for their personal entertainment, their personal consumer device type of things, unless we put that instructional design effort behind it to make the activity that makes that usable in the teaching and learning situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how do you actually get started? Now, we talked about the variety of different devices. I'm going to focus mainly on the iPad, iPhone, because that's what I use mostly. But again, this can be tailored to fit whichever device that you have. If you're using your iPhone or your iPad, you have to have an iTunes account and a computer so that you can set up the iTunes account and be able to register to download your apps. I think Robin was talking about how she was in a session and a colleague didn't even have iTunes on their iPad, and they wanted to be able to use it. So you have to have something so that you can download the apps to your device.
And then, can't you have an iTunes account whether you have an Apple device or not?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
So it's not connected to having an Apple device per se.
Right. But if you want to use your iPad, you're going to need the iTunes.
Your apps actually go into your account,
yes,
and then get transferred to whatever device you happen to have.
Yes.
So, if for the iPad, for the Android devices, it's a Google account. Mm-hmm. Principle is the same.
And you probably want to have Wi-Fi capabilities and access. You can still use some of the applications that you download to iPad without the Wi-Fi, but you're going to need the Wi-Fi to actually get the apps onto your device.
And you have the iPads, for example, you can get Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi and 3G or 4G enabled. So again, it depends on where you're going to use it. If you're going to have access to Wi-Fi pretty routinely, then you don't need to have the phone account and the minutes and everything like that, so that you've got that ability to choose between the two. If you're, for us, we're lucky that we've got the Wi-Fi here on campus, so it's very easy to set it up and use it pretty much everywhere here on campus. Once you set it up once, then it'll remember your Wi-Fi access. Same way if you go home or to Starbucks or any place else that would have the free Wi-Fi. Okay.
And then, of course, you need your apps or your applications. And this is hopefully going to be the fun part. Whenever I see someone in a meeting and they have an iPad, the first thing we try to do is try to figure out what kind of apps you have. Let's share apps. And so what I've done, I came up with a list of apps that I use quite often. And I have a couple of handouts, but I just want to kind of introduce you to it. And then, of course, there are tons and tons of others out there, but this just kind of gives you an idea for some of you who may be trying to figure out, okay, where do I get started? What type of apps should I have?
You have this on a handout.
I do have a handout in the back.
We're going to show a few of these when we switch over, and then also our part 2 and part 3, we're also going to revisit some of these.
Exactly. So we'll be able to, in our next session, we're doing apps in action. You notice I have quite a few free ones. I don't really like paying for applications, but I know that I'm eventually going to have to. I'm probably missing out on a lot of really effective ones without, by not paying for them. But these are just some. Again, you can kind of get the handout and search and explore a little bit later when you get a chance. And so what we're going to hope, or what we're hoping, or what I'm envisioning, is that we have some type of way to have a growing list. We could use Google Docs to actually create a form so that people can go out and put in their favorite apps. And I think there's probably going to be a little bit more discussion as to other types of apps and how you can actually find more in the future.
Yeah, we're going to give you some examples of how to find good apps.
Right. So I just wanted to kind of show you this, and again, you can get the handout a little bit later. All right, and then fresh ideas. We have a session that's going to start called Mobile Mondays, and one of my colleagues are going to talk about that as well. But coming up with fresh ideas, and the way to do that is to develop or find a learning community so that you can share the ideas that you have and hopefully be able to foster the learning process with that. And so with that being said, what can these devices do for you? I have a list here, and I believe Robin is going to talk about presentation software. Barbara is
I'm going to do communication and data gathering.
Okay.
Paul is going to sort of bring us all together at the end.
Here we go. So we'll let Robin come on up, and she'll start with her discussion.
Okay, welcome to everyone. So excited to see so many folks out today. I'm going to focus on presentation, and the first thing I want to say for me, and I'm going to be using the iPad, and let me go ahead and get it kind of ready. So we'll, oh, maybe I should have. Let's go. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me go back here just for a second. I want to say for me, my iPad is a personal device. It really and truly is. And I had an iPad for about 6 months before I ever really started using it. And that's very common. So for those of you who may already have your mobile device and you think, I'm not using that, that's pretty common. And I think it wasn't until I started talking with people and some of the things that I do on a regular basis that they said, hey, you can do that on your iPad, because many of us have this idea that it can't be used for that. Oh no, I need to use my laptop for that. But then I started finding apps, and people started sharing apps with me, and I realized, wow, that's really wonderful. And for me, when Rhonda talked about her phone, of course, if I forget my phone at home, I go back home to get my phone. But if I forget my iPad, I go back home also, because one day I came to campus and I was like, oh, I took my iPad out of my briefcase, and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Because my calendar is on there, everything's on there, my contacts are on there. I don't even know my friends' phone numbers anymore because, you know, everything is just there for you. So it really has become a personal device for me. And when I purchased mine, actually it was my birthday gift to myself last summer. And I got the iPad 2, and I did get the 3G. And the reason I got the 3G, I talked to a couple of people, and when you're in areas where you don't have access and you want to use that, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm at the hairdresser and I want to play Angry Birds, I don't know, but I want to play and I want to use it then, okay? So, you know, I'm wanting to check my calendar, I'm wanting to go back and check email, and so I went ahead and purchased 3G. But, you know, when you have access to the wireless and you pretty much are going to use it wherever you are, then that usually works for most people. But I want to share with you a little bit about using this device for presentations. Everyone here at some point in time have presented, okay, whether it's to your class, to your colleagues, maybe to your department. So you've had to present. So a lot of times when I go to conferences, they'll say, okay, so how are you using your device? What are you going to use? And people will bring in laptops. And we're going, hey, we got our iPad now. I went to a conference last summer. I only took my iPad. That's the first time ever. Because normally I would take my iPad and my laptop. Because
The best thing is you don't have to take it out and at the security screener. So, you know, you don't have to struggle to get the laptop out, put it in its own little bin and everything.
They don't care about all
They
that.
don't care about it.
They're smaller than magazines and stuff.
That's it.
They really have to stick it in with the magazine.
Yeah, they don't care about it. So it was wonderful. That first time I made that trip without an iPad, because I had without a laptop. My laptop is a little heavy, and I thought, oh, I'm tired of wagging this, but it was wonderful. And so we used my iPad for our presentation, but since then, I have learned so much more in terms of how I can use this device. And what you will find, once you start talking with folks, they'll start mentioning apps to you, like, you can do that. And so it'll start to replace apps. So, you know, I was talking to someone yesterday on a call, and she said she had read something where there's over 500,000 apps right now for the iPad.
I saw in the news this morning, they're at 25 billion apps.
For all of them, for Android and yeah. So, you know, it's just, you can never have, you know, all the apps. And so people will mention, and I don't have that, so I start writing things down. But I'm going to share with you just the presentation and show you how easy it is to take an existing PowerPoint, okay, and just easily pull it up on your iPad. If you converted it to a PDF, it's easy to pull up, and there's some apps that you can use to view that. But also, there is an app called Slide Shark that opens up a PowerPoint now. And I say now because it was in the past, you could not open up a PowerPoint. You were forced to use, and I don't want to say forced, but you really were forced to use Keynote, which is the presentation, and it's an Apple product, but they have an app for Keynote. So you can actually create your PowerPoint using Keynote. But not only when we just create our PowerPoint using Keynote, but what I do now is I use Evernote to sketch out my ideas and my notes. So I'm working on a presentation. Then I go and I put it in the Dropbox, because typically I may be working on a presentation with a group of folks. So we then share and we're able to collaborate using the Dropbox. And then we go in and we can create it in Keynote. Or if you're more comfortable, you can create it in PowerPoint, create it as a PDF, or just pull it up on SlideShark. So I just want to show you a couple of these apps and just to kind of get your feedback and just show you how easy it is to truly get started using your iPad. Oh, it's blinking too. I've just recently been introduced to Word with Friends. I will admit this. And it's okay. Recently been, I said, now I understand why he was kicked off the plane. Let me see. It was. Yeah, I now understand why, because it is a bit addictive when you use Words with Friends.
But you know, like the Dropbox, I heard about the Dropbox first actually was from my dad. And you know why he wants me to get a Dropbox account? Because he wants to compile and work on family history. And he wants everybody in the family to be able to see and add to the family history. And you put it in the, if you put it in the Dropbox, we can all see it. And we can add to it.
There's even a family tree app that I have a friend that's using that, you know, you can do.
Because this is really
Make the whole tree on your.
Right. And so you can do that from also the Dropbox app. So you can actually put on there. I'll show you my Dropbox app because I'm going to use that today. So let's say I've created a PowerPoint. And I created this PowerPoint in Microsoft PowerPoint, okay, because that's typically what I use. I think I'm getting, okay, we're still good. Okay, I think I have it already open. So I've created this PowerPoint, and I put it, let's say, in the Dropbox. Here is my Dropbox. Okay, now I first created my Dropbox account on my PC. Matter of fact, I was using it on my PC, like you just said, way before I ever realized, ooh, there's an app out there, and I can, you know, get this app and put it on my iPad. But I've been creating and sharing, and we really I use the Dropbox a lot for sharing information with my colleagues. We work on different things. I want them to take a look, so I just go out and I share my Dropbox, and they can take a look. They can actually update, make changes to my document right there in the Dropbox. And then I can go back and open it up. So I use it a lot. But I put this out in the Dropbox. This is my Dropbox account. The one thing that does happen, I noticed with all the apps, is that I've created so many accounts. So I'm no longer remembering. I'm having to write them down. What is the name, username, what is the password? Yes, there's a lot of things that require.
There's a great app for your phone that's a universal password manager. So that you can keep track of all your usernames and all your passwords in a secure setting. That can be shared too.
Is that Android and
I'm not sure
iPhone?
if it's iPhone or not.
Okay.
I got it on
On the Android.
If it isn't, I've heard of one.
I'm sure there is one.
For the app. Okay. But here in the Dropbox, so here is a PDF that I saved my PowerPoint as a PDF. Now here's the PDF it's showing there, but then here's the nice thing, I can click there in the corner and I can open it in various different apps. So let's say I open it in iBooks, and that's an app that's on here. It's already on my iPad, and there it is. It opens up. I didn't even touch it. I walked back over there, but I didn't actually touch it. So there is my PowerPoint right there. You can go in, see the slides. I've done pretty much nothing to this because it was already created. How many presentations do you already have created, and you're thinking, how can I use this and show it using my iPad? It's already here. I did absolutely nothing there to get that in other than put it in the Dropbox where I could go in and open it up, okay? So this is the same presentation we're looking at here. So that's going in and using the Dropbox. But also, in the Dropbox, I have created a PowerPoint. Here's actually the PowerPoint, not the PDF, but the PowerPoint. Let me make sure.
But if you have, you put everything you created in Dropbox, you could walk into a class, access the Dropbox, and show things without carrying anything in that class.
Yes. Yes, you could. Okay. And then also remember now, you can connect your iPad to your iTunes account, and you can go in and move files into those folders also. Okay, so you can actually move a file instead of using the Dropbox. You can move it, but then it's necessary for me to be connected to my laptop. Okay, in order to use my iTunes and move them in there. But if you use the Dropbox, you know, you've got to be, of course, on your PC, or you've got to be still on your PC or your laptop to do that. Okay.
You make subfolders within your Dropbox
right.
to keep everything mobile.
Yes, and that's why, because this is just that is a subfolder there, mobilization. Okay, that's a subfolder because there's my Dropbox. Okay, that's my folder there for that mobilization. Okay, so you can go in and basically what I like here, and especially with the PDF, you see, did you see that list of all the apps that I could open it with? My Kindle, I could open it with the Kindle app. I could open it with, and this is what I want to show you. I want to show you how you can open it, and this was one I purchased. Rhonda talked about not liking to purchase, but I did purchase. Let me see. There is a, clicked on the wrong one. Let's go back. So there is a nice one here. There's Adobe Reader, okay? There's some other free ones. Most of these are free, but I have another one I'm going to show you. You can go in and actually annotate your PowerPoint. So if you wanted to go in and annotate and make comments, let's say sometimes students, you will have activities for students, and part of their job is to create a PowerPoint. But if you want to go in and put notes on their PowerPoint and give them feedback that way. Yes,
I have a paperless classroom. I still do exams on paper, but their homework and their labs are all submitted, and then I turn them into PDFs, and then the grades are annotated on an iPad, and then they're handed back to them digitally with the annotations on. So
that's right.
In some ways, it manages everything. It's a little easier. It's a little harder. It's different.
Yes, but and I think these students will get used to that. I know, and they will start to like it because for a long time I had a tablet computer where I would handwrite my comments on there, and they really liked that over me inserting comments like through Word. It was really, and once I changed, I said, why are you not handwriting our comments? You give us more comments when you handwrite them, and I probably was actually giving more comments because I was going through every time I saw something I'd write versus typing something out. But yeah, that is a great way to give feedback to the students.
D2L works on the tablet devices, and it's very easy to use the Dropbox feature in D2L, pull it up. If you use the Turn It In feature within the Dropbox, you can pull up Grade Mark, which is the ability to grade the papers inside Turn It In. It gives you the ability to make a collection of comments and pull them to the appropriate area, so it speeds up your commenting. But then you can also type in, you know, some regular comments. So you could actually use a combination of all of these things and use annotate to put your own comments, written comments on, but also use the other things. So there's so many different ways you can do that.
And you have the audio. Now
you have the audio
right.
in the Dropbox.
And I know somebody creates with Gino
Gene is a screen capture.
Screen capture, and he does it that way, where he's able to do, I guess, a combination of things.
I haven't tried Gene on a mobile device though. So has he?
Yeah, I believe that he's using it. Yes, I believe so.
Okay. I've used it on desktop. I just haven't used it on mobile.
Yeah, we had somebody who's using it all the time.
I mentioned SlideShark, and I just want to show it to you because SlideShark is one of those that you are required to create an account. But it's nice, and it's sort of like, in terms of uploading a file, it's sort of like Dropbox in the sense you create an account. It was very easy to create that account. Once I created the account, I just uploaded my PowerPoint, and it's there. And so, again, here we go, the same PowerPoint. Okay, it's downloaded now, and we'll go in, and it's downloaded. It's going to be a little slower here, even though I'm on my 3G. It should load pretty quickly. But it downloads, and there's your PowerPoint. Again, so can show the PowerPoint in class using SlideShare. Okay, so that's another app. And it's free. Okay, when I first started, I only would get the free ones. Let's see, it should.
You can download these things and take your mobile device and not be connected to the internet. So if you are going to do a presentation somewhere and they don't have wireless there, you couldn't do the downloading. But if you plan ahead and get everything there and ready to go on your device, then you can do it without internet connectivity if you needed to.
Right, it's there.
Field is experience of some sort.
Okay, now, if you want to go in and actually use your iPad to create one and use Keynote, what I do is, as I mentioned earlier, I use Evernote, I use Dropbox. How many people here using Evernote? Anybody using Evernote Evernote has really become my, I guess it's one of those apps that I use regularly. I take my notes on Evernote. Let me see, I've moved it now. I have little folders here, and so I've moved my Evernote. Where did we move it to? Let's go in and, yeah, we did, but I moved it again. It was there, but we went in and moved it again. Okay, Evernote is, I thought I had it open here. Evernote is one of those that allows you to take notes. There it is. It's there on the front page because I use it all the time. Here's all the notes that I've been taking here. And actually, as I was working on, deciding what am I going to do, I went through and I actually said, okay, you can go in and, create my notes. So I created notes here in Evernote. Then I took my notes and I put them in the Dropbox, okay? And then I said, okay, let's now go to Keynote and create this. And I'm using my iPad for all of this, okay? And I like the way in Evernote it separates things. So this, again, is a productivity tool that you can use, productivity app. And so then I went to Keynotes. And Keynotes is actually, because I'm not a Mac person, I've had a Mac, but I hate to confess this, when I use my Mac, I use it on the PC side. So people that are Mac people, they go, what are you doing? But I went in and I actually, let me go to Keynotes again. Oh, there it is. It's already up. I went to Keynotes and I actually created a presentation. So these here are some presentations, and I was just kind of playing around because I had not used Keynote before. I'm not a Mac person. And I created that same presentation using Keynote. Did not take much time. Okay, it's easy to use because for some people they go, okay, I want to use Keynote. And if you're already a Keynote person, it's not a big deal. But I created a presentation here using Keynote. Same information, just went in. You can easily go in, insert media, any type of file in there. You can go in and in terms of my templates there, there's an app that gives you some free Keynote templates. So I downloaded that app. So I pulled in these templates and then started to use them. But that's just the way, in a nutshell, sort of how you can use your iPad to create presentations. Takes you probably 5 minutes. I think I created this one in Keynote in about 5 minutes. Now Barbara's going to talk about how you can use the iPad for communication and data management, data gathering. You think if I just undo and you do it, it would be good. So I'll have to disconnect.
Okay, so again, we're just sort of picking and choosing what kind of examples we can show you because, I mean, we could be here for 3 days just showing you different things. So we thought presentation was one good thing, and the other thing we thought we would show you a little bit about was communication and data gathering. Again, some of the things that you can do, staying in what I call communication sync. Debbie sort of mentioned that earlier. You can connect it to your calendar, your contacts, your tasks, and your email. That was one of the reasons why ITV wanted to get us all to Exchange, because Exchange gives us the ability to do that. So I can now hook up my iPad and get my calendar and get everything all at one time. I can put an event in on my iPad and it shows up on my desktop. I can put one in my phone and it shows up on my iPad, and back and forth and back and forth. So I don't have to worry about not knowing where I'm supposed to be. Conferencing is another thing that I've mentioned here. There are a couple of different ways on an iPad that you can do face-to-face desktop conferencing. FaceTime is the one that comes with the iPad, so if you can go to another iPad user, you can use FaceTime. Skype, you probably are all you're familiar with Skype. Skype is a free desktop conferencing situation. Anybody can get a Skype account. The basic one is free. You can't do three-way conferencing unless you pay for the expensive one. I found that out the other day. I was trying to Skype with my brother and my mother at the same time, and it didn't work. But it works great on the iPad. The only thing I noticed, my brother told me this, I'm sitting on the living room couch Skyping like this and everything, and he said, please hold your iPad up. I'm tired of looking up your nose. I said, oh, okay. So that was my biggest learning that I had to figure out as far as that goes. So that's a very easy thing to do. I did want to share a little bit of this kind of just-in-time information. If we're thinking about teaching and learning, we really want to think about how we can actually use that in the classroom. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of customized apps that I have found in different sources, how to put websites, and you can go directly to a website, and then some news sources, because I thought those might be 3 examples, depending on what discipline you happen to teach, where you would actually use that right in the classroom. So let me pull mine up here. There we go. And you can, just like a laptop, customize it and put your own pictures on the front and everything like that. You can password protect your iPad so that you're sure that no one else is going to pick up something that you're doing, so that makes it kind of nice. So let me just show you some just-in-time types of things that you might use. These were a number of different, again, I'm just sort of building a collection of educational apps for all kinds of different disciplines. I use the Evernote. Some of the Show Me, Brainstorm, Sketch are different ones that you can actually draw on and draw pictures, and I'm thinking, some of the art classes, some of the design classes, and so forth. I don't have a stylus for mine, but if you were doing a lot of drawing, you can get a stylus for on your iPad. One that I particularly think it would be a great resource if you were teaching a law course or something. This is an app that goes through all of the Supreme Court justices, what all of their findings, what all their writings were, all kinds of different cases, and you can case law and find those. I thought that was kind of a neat one that was really discipline specific. Simple Minds is a mind mapping. So if you like to do concept mapping and things like this, these are all free ones. And again, we've got some lists and stuff like that. This was a presentation I actually did over in Deb's department on just use of technology, but I went ahead and created my presentation as mind map so that I could track in different things that I wanted to do and so forth. One thing that I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more are some of the different e-textbook sites. Okay, now some of your textbook publishers are producing e-textbooks, and it's just another choice that you might offer your students. Some are coming out as strictly electronic sources, and I think that's going to be more and more of what we see as time goes by. And one thing that I really like about some of these is they are becoming much, much more than a PDF of the book that you would get. This is a psychology one, and what I thought was great is that it's got some of these other things that you can pick and choose from. Come back here to my courses list. No, it wasn't on this one. It was on Inkling, which is just another textbook, e-textbook site. This one, again, my discipline is nursing, so I thought it was so cool that this is a Bates physical assessment book, and it's got videos of each one of the techniques. How much better is that than a plain textbook where they can look at the pictures? Again, not everything. I think we're just in the beginning stages of some of these e-textbooks, but I think more and more, and I think we're going to get to the point someday where that ends up being. But PBS has a great site that has a lot of free documentary pictures that you can watch. I actually watched a Julia Child last night, watched her make lady fingers. So lots of different things. That Translate, You know, you can type in there in English and it'll speak it in Spanish or whatever. So again, lots of different things that you might use depending on whichever discipline that you happen to use. One thing I did want to show you are some of the news things. And again, I can see this used in lots and lots of different disciplines. CNN, for example, has a great site that has the latest information on, and it even has, and as it pulls up on here, okay, again, all the latest things there. I love this up here. It gives you a hourly update of the latest things. I don't have my sound hooked to my iPad, but or to the speakers up here. But again, just some really cool things. One of my favorites, though, is this Zeit. Zeit is a personalized news magazine. And think about how cool it would be if you went in there and picked all of your discipline-specific keywords. So as soon as it comes up here, you get able to go into Zeit and pick from a whole category of keywords, and it will go out on the net and it will pull all articles associated with that particular keyword. Our internet's a little slow here. We'll let it go. But what I went in did, oh, there it comes, it's just a little slow. Just my particular interest areas. I did health and exercise, technology, web design and user experience, world news. I thought I'd better keep up with what's going on in the world. E-learning, instructional design, and pedagogy. So I can go in there and say, what are all the news things that have come up in that particular area? Think how great that would be in class if you had that and everyone was assigned to a different area and pull it together. I have actually, I have read more news since I had my iPad than I ever did before, because I had never found any of these places. I had never taken the time to find any of these places. But I can go in there, and most of them are little bites. I mean, this particular article is like, a page long, and it has a little video to go along with it. I can do that. So I try at least once a week to sit down and go through and catch up on things. And then you have the ability to send it on forward. So if you want to share it with somebody, you can share it with somebody. And you can then start to read things and find out more that you want to do. So it's easy to do all of that.
And it also tries to be more intuitive. If it says, if you like it, and you see where it says give me more about, if you click on that and you say that you like it, it will start bringing you more articles from that particular source,
right,
and more that are related to that particular topic. So it makes it more personalized.
Right. And it's real easy to copy paste some of this stuff into your Evernote notes so that, how you can't remember where you found something, when you're doing your research and things like that. So you have that ability. So I think really it's just a really great example of that could be used as just-in-time teaching in the classroom. Okay. So again, I talked about how you can hook it up to your email. So you've got your email there, all your different boxes. So everything that's on your desktop you can get to on your iPad. You've got calendar. So again, you can look at it just the way that you would look at it. The only thing, it doesn't color code it like you color code your one on your desktop. But it still works just fine.
And you can add calendars to it as well.
You can add different calendars to it. You can have all your contacts in there. I had to look up my brother's email address the other day. That's the last thing I looked up on here because I couldn't remember what it was. Again, a task list. So you got your to-do list. If you use your Outlook to be able to do that, that can all be done. So there's so many different things that you can do as far as communication on there. So communication, data gathering are all good, just good, immediate things that you can use it for in both the teaching and learning areas and then your personal use itself. Okay, any questions about those? Okay, we're going to turn it over then to Paula to finish us up here, and then we'll have still plenty of time for questions. Okay, as I was trying to think of my portion of this presentation and what everyone else is going to talk about, I thought by the time they get to me, it's going to be research, initiatives, and apps. Oh my! And besides that, I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan, so I hope that you're not too overwhelmed at this point. And if you are, then I'm hoping to bring it home with just a couple of resources where you can go out and review pretty much everything we said at your leisure. And anyway, 2 really good resources for you. Rhonda has already mentioned Abilene Christian University. It's kind of at the forefront of this e-mobile or e-mobile movement. Is that how you say it? E-mobile, yes. And when we were talking about this e-mobilization series, as we were talking about one workshop, we were like, no way we can get all this in one workshop. I mean, even this one's going to be an hour and 25 minutes. And we're just starting. So I hope that you'll be joining us for the last 2. But I want to go to the Abilene Christian site just so you can see for a second everything that is available there. So ACU Connected. What I wanted to share with you here, and one thing, I mean, they have research on there, they have app sharing on there, they have testimonies from teachers and students and whatnot. But what I really liked in their videos, you'll notice over here on the left of the screen, they have documented their journey, so to speak, from where they started this initiative to where they are here now. So you get perspectives from the first year up to the 3rd year. So I wanted to show just a real quick, because they're not very long videos, some of the things that they have to say. Like 1 minute.
And we're excited to be able to use these new devices as they come on the market.
I'm going to go back,
One
sorry.
of the things that I think is so crucial about this initiative is that it's not really about the technology. The technology is a great platform, and we're excited to be able to use these new devices as they come on the market. But really, the goal of this program is very old. What we want to do with this program is tap into each student's innate abilities. We want to transform the shape of the classroom from that factory model where everybody sits sort of in the ranks and observes and consumes to a model of engagement where each student becomes a resource in the class. And those resources are really distinct and diverse. It's hard, with a sort of standard textbook, which is static and which is uniform. It's hard to encourage that sort of diversity, right? But with a little tiny device fits in my pocket that has access to the whole world's knowledge, to databases at libraries, to media files from all across the world, and things like YouTube and Flickr, where people are putting up their own images. When I give students access to that, I give them a possibility for discovery that didn't exist in the classroom before.
But they've also listed on here, in addition to these little snippets of video, different studies that have been conducted, how students are more engaged through the use of technology. So I would just encourage you to go through there and see those. And then here in year 3, this one, I liked this one. Okay, class, any questions? You ever find yourself asking that at the end and hear complete silence? And Bueller? Anyone?
What excited me about mobile learning and the reason why I applied to be a fellow was the opportunity to take advantage of devices being in every student's hand. And so the old style of walking into a class, asking, are there any questions, and hearing no responses could be replaced with taking advantage of the student nano tools, asking a question that I think students ought to know, getting a graph, immediate feedback anonymously, and being able to utilize that mobile devices change things for me. I was a skeptic, but students like them, and a professor ought to take advantage of that. If you ask the right questions and you get real-time feedback from the students, it can change dramatically your perceptions, your past perceptions about what objectives you were spending too much time on, what objectives you weren't spending enough time on.
How many of you have used clickers in the classroom? Most of the smartphones have a app that you can download. Turning Technologies and iClicker are the two we support here on campus. Both of them have a smartphone app that takes the place of the actual clicker device, that you can do that. So if you haven't been thinking about doing some clickers, you might want to think about that, because that's going to get easier and easier as time goes by.
Yeah, that would be good if they had a phone.
And there's also, you probably heard of the app, polleverywhere.com. It's a website where you can use text messaging. Students can text message their responses, and it will show up as a bar chart or whatever in real time, and it's free. But if you want to attach the, if you polleverywhere.com. But if you want to pay for the subscription, then you can get other features. But that's what actually started me to brainstorming about how we can use the cell phone in the classroom, because I started out using clickers, and so I did a research study, and I asked the students, are you willing to pay an extra $40 to buy a clicker with your textbook? And all of them said no. And so I said, well, how can we use the whole polling, concept with their cell phones? But they all have them. They all have the cell phones. And so the whole text messaging, and then when I found out about the polleverywhere.com, that was the answer to my problem. So,
Yeah, so that's a good idea.
try it out if you haven't done so.
And you'd know it was them, not somebody bringing a clicker in for them or anything like that. Yeah.
And then our own TBR has an e-learning initiative going on.
And just like the Abilene, it's not quite as clean as Abilene's website, but
There we go.
And again, they have articles, videos, history, about their initiative, where they have been, where they are, where they plan to go with this.
But one of the great things about this is
I love their little search feature over here for finding apps.
So if there was anything in particular you wanted to try to find, something in teaching for the iPad 1 or 2 in, I don't know,
Let's throw out one. We'll be risky. Like
business and finance, college, and we'll just stop there, see what we get. It's going right. Yeah.
Then you come up with these apps for learning. I have no idea what these do, but it gives me the opportunity now to go in and
But each one of them is evaluated, so it's a really good source to, if you've heard about an app, especially one that you do have to pay for, you can look it up, and somebody else may have already looked at it and said, this isn't worth 99 cents that you pay for it, or the $59.99 or whatever. So it's a really good source for that. Robbie Melton has also said that if you find an app that is not on that list that costs something, she might help you support to buy that. So again, it might be something that if you find one that's not on the list and you think it was, you wanted to add it to the list, you can send an email to there on the website and submit it to be reviewed.
Also, if you find one, you find a good app yourself, she loves for you to submit them there, because that's how they're building that database there of all the apps. And she's working also with the Merlot group, And we are starting, I'm part of the Merlot group, we're starting to evaluate apps now on Merlot. But before you just see, obviously you see articles and things, but now you'll start to see apps being added to the Merlot site.
And it is a good idea. Most apps, if you've had a chance to really explore, apps run from being free to 99 cents to $4.99, all the way up the, Robbie says she saw a $600 one. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Most expensive one that I looked at was $69.99 or something like that. So it is. I mean, I'm not going to spend $69.99 to test something out if I can find somebody else. How many of you now are even on books and all that kind of stuff, really reading the reviews to see if it, if that sounds like it's worthwhile or not. Now, 99 cents, I'll throw that away if I want to find something that I think. I have bought, I think, 3 or 4. The most expensive one I bought was $4.99. I was real brave and spent a lot of money. But, there are, it's amazing how many things there are out there that you could really use in a teaching and learning situation.
And if you hear of a good app, go check. And if it's free, buy it, because if it's a good app in a couple of weeks, it may be. Just go ahead and add it. Even if you think, I'm not sure if I like this app, but if someone says this is a good app and it's free, go ahead and put it on there. You can always take it off. Because they do, you'll see them. We've seen some where Robbie was at some big function and she was announcing all these apps she had found. Everybody's going on. She's like, they're free. And we're like, no, they're now $2.99. So many people were starting to, catch on. Yeah, catch on. And so then they start charging for them. So, just grab them when they're free. You can always delete them.
There's another good app called Discover that you can look to find apps. Sorry, I didn't think about this, and I just thought about it. So, Discover is spelled DISCOVR, and it's really cool because you can put in something and have it search, and it brings up a list. And when you come in there, it gives you not only ones that not only the one you looked at, but other ones as well. And you can see there's a little dollar sign here for the ones that cost, but the ones that are free don't have that. So it's just a kind of a neat way. Plus, I'm forever going through, these are their recommended. So it's like, ooh, what's that one? And I'll look through and say, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I'll go ahead.
There's also one called Discover Music for you music lovers. And so a lot of the younger kids, they love Discover Music because if there's a certain genre of music you like and there's something you like, you put it in and it'll show you other songs similar to that. So it's the same thing, Discover Music.
And I'll go through sometimes and then add them to my wish list because I can never remember the one later on when I didn't notice it. I'm sorry, Paula, to interrupt you. I'll send you back here. So, I think Rhonda's already mentioned, but I wanted to be sure that everybody did know, you do not have to have a mobile device to join our users group. If you're still a skeptic, as our last video Professor said he was in the beginning, you just kind of want to hang out with us and see what's going on. We're going to start meeting the second Monday of each month. The first meeting is Monday, March 12th. And it's going to be kind of a brown bag. Bring your lunch. We'll run from 11:30 to 12:30, I think is what we've decided. So just drop in here anytime, yes. Anytime between 11:30 and 12:30. If you want to stay the whole hour, that's great. If you want to come for 15 minutes, that's fine too. Just like that. Okay? And we will have 2 more presentations or workshops for this series, for the e-mobilization series. Part 2 is apps in action. So we've just shown you a few, believe it, well, we've already said there are 250 billion. I don't think we're going to get through them all, but we're going to show you some more apps on Thursday, March 29th. Same time, 1 to 2:25. And then our last one is to bring your own device. But if you haven't made the commitment by then, still feel free to come. And we're going to play with those and show them. So we hope to have you back. Are there any questions or comments? Please, you want us to show
Any burning questions?
I have questions, but mine are so basic that I'll wait till the end. That way, most of them don't have to sit through them.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm a skeptic.
Okay.
I'll throw that out. I got my laptop.
That's okay, I was too.
I'm not convinced yet on how this is different. It seems like just about everything, you use your fingers instead of the keyboard or your mouse. That's different. But I was hoping to hear what we can do with this in the hands of our students, what they can do differently. You can take a poll, you can do clickers, but am I missing something? I felt like
No, but this is what we want you to put on your evaluation form so that we can work this into one of the last two workshops. And I know what you're, I think I know where you're doing, and I know how I could answer part of that anyway. There's lots of things you can do, but I think the collaboration possibilities are endless. I'm teaching an online class, and I see them moving away from just being in DCUL in that class and out on mobile devices, just doing other things.
I think that is, again, that ease of convenience of being able to do it on that smaller device. The collaboration, I think the development of some of these apps that people are creating for these is going to be the thing that's different. You know, the productivity things that we showed you, yeah, there probably isn't a whole lot of difference between that. But again, an app that lets you actually play the piano, an app that actually lets you manipulate a, what did I see one the other day? Oh, a windmill that was talking about solar power. And you'd actually be able to go in there and using your finger generate the power to make that windmill turn.
And your physics class, the Angry Birds.
Oh, yeah, I've heard examples of how physics professors use Angry Birds to teach the principles of trajectory and force and that kind of stuff. But so I think that's where we're starting to move to. That makes it different than the laptop. But yes, the productivity things, what Robin said was really interesting. I think faculty, we kind of gravitate toward those things, that productivity part first. So that's what we're learning on. And most people, if you ask them what they use their iPad for right now, they're using it to check their mail. They're using it to, keep their calendar up to date and things like that. Whether they're using it for those kind of things. Or doing a presentation, so I only have to take my iPad instead of my laptop. Those to me are kind of that baby steps into the process. So we're doing it.
Well, and one of the things is that I think to hear you say that, I'm not surprised because I'll be honest, I was given a task. I'm part of this Merlot TBR task force where we were given iPads, and I told them I struggled because I also teach IT related things, and I was struggling to find apps that I could use in the classroom, and that's not uncommon, and we're still looking. And when someone asked me, so really, like you just said, I'm not seeing the difference. We're all trying to make that connection. It's still in progress, really, in terms of us making that connection. But to start out, we're starting with some of these productivity, and it goes back yesterday on a phone call. I had a lady who told me, she said, it's sort of like any new type of technology. It starts out slow, and then it starts to build. So I think for many of us, and it depends sometimes on your discipline. There are some disciplines where they have quite a few apps out there. There are others where we just struggle to find useful apps.
I want to share
What's your
example in Deb's discipline. She's got a faculty member in interior design that is able to take her iPad, and as she moves from student group to student group when they're working, she can actually draw things on there that's showing them the perspectives, or showing that, she's got some apps that you could pull down this finish and this fabric and so forth and build a chair or build something right there as you're doing it. So I think that's one of the things. One of the things I'm really excited about is some of the technology, like in projectors change and things like that. As soon as we get that wireless from your iPad to your projector so that I can walk around and I can be doing a math problem. There are some, right, through the AMX program, right, there are some things that do. There's a couple of other apps. There's one called Dusari that actually connects your iPad to the computer, and then the computer is to the projector. So that's the thing I also like. If I could be teaching a math class and being able to walk around and say, here, put that down, you solve that math problem. And that's what's being shown up there on the
on the screen, to me, is a powerful learning experience for that particular student and everybody else in the classroom. So again, I think that we're just in the beginning phases of how we can really use this and what makes it different than some of the other tools that we have.
And actually, one of my questions was going to be kind of along those lines, and you've answered half of it there. I was going to say, my understanding of what that pad can do is so little. What does one do that the other can't do? And so that kind of answers a little bit about what the iPad can do that
versus a
my computer
laptop
can do,
versus,
because it does things that you can do with your touch screen.
Right,
basically.
right.
It
It does those, right.
But then, can it actually do everything that my computer could have done? Is there anything it can't do that my computer does?
It can't do everything. It can't do everything. And I'm not to the point where I couldn't type a whole paper. I couldn't do all that. Now, you can get some external keyboards and things like that.
If you really had a big project like that, you want to go back.
And I probably wouldn't create that, because say your keynote and that's it. Me, just again, this is me. I probably create all those things on my desktop because I got a bigger screen. And in my office, I've got 2 monitors, so I can be flipping back and forth and so forth. So I haven't had a chance to it wouldn't replace, my desktop at this point.
But other than those big kind of projects, it's a question of scale. It's personal. It's like your phone is personal. It's supposed to be light mobile for kind of light mobile needs. As opposed, but if you were going to sit down for 2 hours and do something, then you'd sit down for 2 hours doing your computer, because it's probably
right. But I mean, what it is though.
I have found things on their phone, and it's what it is, their computer.
Right,
And that's why I wondered.
And again, for consumption, it can well be. I'm not to the point where I can deal with that size screen in production.
But if that's all you have, that's what you use,
yeah.
and they're used to that, and that's the premier device they have. It's not the premier device we have.
At the end of last semester, I graded all my final papers on my iPad through D2L. And again, I did it over at Starbucks. I sat there and I graded all my papers. So a lot of things, yes, you can do. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out what you're trying to do and if the tools are there to be able to do it.
And people can carry all their textbooks.
Yeah,
When you
I
look
think
at
that would
all
be
your
wonderful.
textbooks on this, plus everything.
And if they are those textbooks like I showed you here with the videos and all this interactive stuff, Carlos, you want to say
I think part of the confusion here is that the iPad was created as a consumer device.
Exactly.
Not a consumer device in the sense that a consumer device, but you consume information, you consume data. You don't create
It's not
too
as much
much
a
with that
creative.
part.
Exactly.
And that's part of computer science, and that's part of my project in our disciplines. You won't find anything that will replace that desktop with all the applications that can run. We are in the back end of that technology. We are kind of, and that's what I want ITD to focus more in, bringing to the faculty the tools and the resources to build content, because in the iPad, content is king. All these applications are just packaged for the content. And that's what we need really. For computer science, for my classes, for everybody's classes, a way to create really interactive content, engaging content for the students that can be consumed to any consumer device, iPhone, iPad. And as you said, we are at the beginning, so we are focusing in this area. But when the money is, or when I say when the money, when our interest is how we can create our content that is based on PowerPoints. Into an interactive content. And there are some tools in the web right now that do that. Not necessarily the iPad, but in the web. That instead of a presentation, you can
for example, some of our new tools like Soft-Chalk and so forth are great, production tools. It's not something that you would do on your iPad, but when you create it, then it can be done. Our lecture capture, one of the main reasons that we chose this particular product is because the output works on all of these different devices. So yes, it is exactly that. That's something that we want to think about in terms of when we create all this stuff, is it going to be out there on mobile devices? I think we'll cut it there. Just if you've got more questions, stick back and we'll be happy to answer them. Please fill out the evaluation forms and drop it in the box backside. If you didn't sign in, please do so, because we're going to send everyone that was here an email reminder about the next ones, because we really do want to have this as a continuing flow as we go through.
But thank you so